Yeah, hi guys, I welcome all of you in this video once again. So guys, in this video, before going further, let me introduce you about my channel. So guys, my channel is basically all about CCN and MCITP videos, but I'm just trying to share whatever I can share in technology and whatever the topics or you can say the domain I know I'm working and I'm dealing with. So guys, in this video, I'm just gonna talk about the complete DNS. I'm going to talk about the overview of the DNS, or you can say the complete DNS I will be covering in this video. One of my viewers, he asked me to create or upload a video in this topic. He wanted to, he requested me to tell uh, about it in detail, in depth. So I'm just trying to do the same thing. And if my videos are helpful you, please don't forget to subscribe my channel. My You can search my channel by my name. My name is Narayan Vaghel, or I will be sharing my YouTube URL also. So you just type this name, you will get my YouTube channel, and I hope this video gonna be helpful for you. So guys, let me begin. It will be a quite lengthy video because I have uh, tried to capture lots of things in this video. So guys, very basic thing, what is DNS first of all? So I may not tell you each and everything whatever I have taken here as a description. So I may tell you the basic things only. You can read it for more information because it will take long time. So guys, what is DNS? Very first question and very basic question. We should be knowing it. So guys, domain name system, the full form of DNS is name system. And what it is actually, domain name system is a hierarchical distributed database. Hierarchical distributed database basically. This much is enough to tell you in very short. And if we talk about more, DNS is the foundation of the internet naming scheme. The internet which we use and whatever we access through internet, it is it plays very important role for that DNS to structure that internet or whatever we access. Second thing, DNS support accessing resources by using alphanumeric names. Okay, and Enter NIC is responsible for naming the domain namespace, and DNS was created to support the internet's growing number of hosts. So these are the basic characteristics you can say of DNS. Okay, and if we talk a little bit more about DNS is a name resolution service that resolves name to number. So the basic main function is like it resolves name to numbers because it is very easy for the human to remember the names, but it is quite difficult for human to remember the name because if you say 192.168.0.1, it is quite lengthy and humans can make a mistake. But if we talk about machines, they deal with the numbers. So for machine, it is easy to remember the numbers as well as name. So the basic function of DNS is to resolve the name to numbers. The DNS service is a hierarchical distributed database. I told you this means that the database is prepared logically, allowing many different servers to host the worldwide database of name, DNS name. So I will tell you about this in detail in the same video, how it works basically. So guys, this is the URL of my channel. You can use this URL to access my channel also. Guys, here now I will be talking about two scenarios. First one is internet domain naming scheme. Okay, how it is how DNS support the foundation of internet naming scheme. And second one is how uh, DNS support the foundation of organizations Active Directory domain naming scheme. So first of all, we will try to understand internet naming scheme. So guys, DNS is worldwide service that allow you to type the domain name, for example microsoft.com, which the computer resolves to IP address. Okay, this is the thing. The benefit is that the IP version 4 address may be long and difficult to remember. I told you, for example, this is the IP address, while the domain name is typically easier to remember. Originally, This was one file on the internet that contained a list of all the domain name and their corresponding IP addresses. So earlier when it was discovered, the concept of DNS, so it was a file, okay, and it was containing all the domain names and their addresses. This list quickly became too long to manage and distribute it. So this, you can say, this was a disadvantage of it. DNS was developed to solve the problem associated with using a single file. And with the adoption of IP version 6, if we talk about IP version 6, DNS will become even more critical because IP version 6 address, for example, this is the length of IP version 6, which is 128 bit, and if we talk about IP version 4, it is 32 bit, or more complex than IP version 4 addresses. So this is how it works. So we type microsoft.com, and it provides, or it resolves to IP address, then only we can access that site. Now, if we talk about how DNS support the foundation of an organization's Active Directory domain name scheme. So guys, DNS is responsible for resolving resources in Active Directory. Okay, directory service domain. You must install the domain server in order to install Active Directory. Active Directory. So this is a basic requirement. DNS you have to install at any cost to install Active Directory. DNS provides information to the workstation client to enable them to log on to the network. So the basic function in a domain, it provides information to workstation client to enable them to log on to the network. DNS resolve resources in the domain such as server, workstations, printers, and share folders. A DNS server that is configured incorrectly can be the source of many Active Directory problems. So it should be proper, it should be very unique. There should not be any mistake in that. If it is a mistake, then there will be a lots of problem. The name resolution will not happen properly. System will not be able to communicate. So guys, now we will talk about overview of the DNS namespace, how it is structured and how it is defined. Okay, namespace. So guys, this is a diagram I just tried to tell you, explain. So as you can see here, you will see a few things like this is root domain, this is top level domain, this is second level domain, and this is subdomain. And as you can see here, this is fully qualified domain name. Okay, what it is: server 1.sales.south this is you can say nw or now or whatever it is, nwtraders.com. Okay, so this is a fully qualified domain of this structure. So I will explain here you how it is. So guys, the DNS namespace facilitates how the DNS client locate a computer. It is organized hierarchically or in layers to distribute information across many servers. So I told you in the first slide itself, first topic itself, what is DNS? It is a hierarchical database. Okay, so this is a hierarchy. Now I hope now it is clear to you guys how it is structured here. Okay, as you can see, we will try to understand each and everything here one by one here. So first of all, root domain, this one, what it is. So guys, the root domain is represented by a dot. Basically, this will be dot that you do not type into the web browser typically because the dot is assumed. So if we talk about this root domain, it will be represented by dot, and it will be invisible. We can't see, it is just assumed. For example, the next time you type the address into a computer, you can try adding the period at the end. For example, this one, for example, www.microsoft.com. This is the .com we have here. That is known as root domain. Okay, and if we talk about, there are 13 root domain server worldwide. Number are unique. I mean, this much is, this number is unique. So as of now, we have 13 root domains worldwide. Guys, next here we will see top level domain. What does it mean? So guys, top level domains, this is the first level of the name, a DNS namespace. Okay, first level, you can say example of the top level domain on the internet includes, it includes .com, .net, .org, .biz, etc. Like this we have to use. As you can see here, this is top level domain .net, .com, and .org. Next, the most categorized domain are recognized domain are like .com, .net, org, like this. Okay, and there are many more domain name at this level, and few one are added occasionally. So there is also there also is a top level domain which is also known as TLD for each country. For example, Canada is .ca and the United Kingdom is .co.uk, like this. This is known as, guys, top level domain. We will talk about second level domain. So the second level domain name is the portion of the domain name that appears before the TLD. So the meaning is very simple here. I will tell you an example of the second level domain is Microsoft in the www.microsoft.com domain. So this is a Microsoft, .com is your top level domain. Okay, .com and Microsoft. This is your second level domain. So it will come before top level domain. The organization that registers second level domain names control them. So the organization whichever or whoever is registering it, they will control it. Whatever they want to put, they can put here. Guys, next is subdomain. The subdomain is listed before the second level and top level domain. How it is? An example of the subdomain is www in the www, this one, this address. So this www.com, this much is the subdomain. www dot Microsoft is your second level domain and .com is your top level domain. And subdomains are defined in the DNS server of the organization that holds the second level DNS server. And guys, next one is fully qualified domain name, which is also known as FQDN, is the explicit DNS name that includes the name of every domain in the domain namespace. For example, if the computer is designated as the server in the sales dot south dot now traders.com domain, the fully qualified domain name for that computer is server 1 sales. I'm talking about, this is the, you can say the complete namespace. Okay, the name of that server is what? We will go back to this one. The name of this server 1. Okay, and from here, this is your namespace from this sales to this up to this .com, or what it is here. I have taken up to here, this sales dot south dot now traders dot com up to here. If we go back here one more time, so as you can see here, you can make it like this is south, west, east, or something like that. You can add your subdomain. Okay, here you can add whatever you want to do. You can do it. You can change the name, and you can change this. You can use anything like .net or .com or org. So what will be your fully qualified name now? Server name of that computer dot sales, this thing, sales. Okay, this is your sales, and from here one thing, from here one thing, and one thing from here. So it is now server dot sales dot south dot now traders dot com, the fully qualified domain name. I hope, guys, this is clear to you and there should not be any confusion. And if we talk a bit more about DNS naming standards, there are the following are the characters are valid for DNS name. So A to Z we can use. Okay, and this is a small letter also, and 0 to 9 also, and hyphen. If we talk about hyphen, guys, here you should be very careful a little bit. The underscore, not hyphen. Hyphen is okay, we can use. If we talk about here this one underscore, so underscore is reserved character, we cannot use this one. Guys, I hope this is going to be very helpful for you, and it will clear your doubts in this DNS namespace. Guys, next question, DNS improvement for Windows Server 2008. So when this Windows Server 2008 came, there was a few improvement in this. Now new or enhanced feature in the Windows Server 2008. Okay, first one is background zone loading, IP version 6 supported, support for read-only domain controller also, RODC, and global single name. So these are the improvement in this version. These were not available in previous versions of server. So guys, you will realize some of the advantages of using Server 2008 with new features, including, as I told you this much. These features include background zone loading, support IP version 6, and read-only domain controller. So if we talk about background zone loading, how DNS server that hosts the large DNS zone that Active Directory domain stores are able to respond to client query more quickly upon restart because zone data now loads in the background. So some data will be running in the background that will help you if any system or any server is started to resolve the queries quickly to the clients with the help of this background zone loading. Next one is IP version 6. It is supporting IP version 6. Okay, and it also support read-only domain controller. But when a domain controller is deployed as an RODC, a read-only copy of domain DNS zone and the enterprise DNS zone is replicated to the RODC. A DNS zone on an RODC cannot be modified, so we need to be careful a little bit in this case. Okay. Now guys, consideration for deploying the DNS server. So what we need to take in consideration at the before installing or before configuring DNS server. Okay, so there are certain things we need to take care of, need to plan. So guys, first one is the DNS server role is critical in the configuration of Active Directory and Windows network infrastructure. Very important because without DNS, the system or client will not be able to communicate with Active Directory domain or they will not get authenticated. When planning to deploy DNS, there are several considerations that we need to review. Okay, so first of all, if we see the user account must be a member of administrator group or equivalent. Manually configure the server to use the static IP address. Manually edit the server and boot files is not recommended. We should not do it manually anything in that. Use the DNS console or DNS CMD. Active Directory integrated DNS zone cannot be administered using the text editor. We should also think about server capacities like how many DNS zone will you configure on the server, how many DNS record will each zone contain, how many DNS client will be communicating with the server on which you configure the DNS role. So these are the considerations or you can say the guidelines we need to take care before configuring or installing DNS. And next thing, where to place the DNS server location, service availability. DNS is a critical role. Therefore, the planning the network infrastructure, you should assign the DNS role to more than one server. If any server is down, the second should be capable to take the responsibility and resolve the name in order for DNS information to replicate through Active Directory. So there should be certain planning before implementing it. Storage methods, we talk about file, how it will store data. So first one is guys text file. The DNS server role stores the DNS entries in the text file which you can edit with text editor. As a best practice, you always should edit this file through Windows DNS role, which is also known as MMC, Microsoft Management Console. Second, Active Directory. The DNS server role store the DNS entries in the Active Directory database. This database can be replicated to other domain controller even if they do not run the version of Windows Server 2008 DNS role. Guys, what are the component of a DNS solution? Okay, so we should be knowing this also. We will talk about this now. The components of a DNS solution include DNS server, DNS servers on the internet, and DNS clients. So this is a small structure. DNS server on the internet. If you see this side, this much, and this is DNS server. Okay, and this is DNS client. Three partition. If we talk about DNS server, a DNS server answers recursive and iterative DNS queries we are talking about these servers. I will talk about what is recursive and iterative queries in next slides. The main function of DNS server is to just answer both the queries. DNS server also can host one or more zone of a particular domain, and zones contain different resources record. So guys, this much is too much to explain for me because it is taking long time. You can read guys it for more information. I'm just talking about the basic things here. And if we talk about DNS server on the internet, this side, so the DNS server on the internet are accessible publicly, so this will be available to public. They host public zone information and the root server and other common top level domain servers such as .com, .net and all. If we talk about clients, the DNS clients generates and sends iterative and recursive queries to DNS server. A DNS client may be any computer performing the DNS lookup that required interaction with DNS server. And DNS server can also a server also may issue DNS client request to another DNS server. So it is like any query is coming from here. So this server, if it is not able to resolve, it may send to different like this. It is possible. It is a possibility of name resolution. So guys, there are certain records also, very important question 2 3 they will ask definitely. DNS resource record. So first one is guys SOA, which is also known as start of authority. Resource record identifies the primary name server for a DNS zone. This is the main function of this record, primary name server for DNS zone. A records guys host address, basically. Resource record, the main record that defines a host name. This is used for IP version 4 basically. And next one is CNAME, which is also known as canonical name. CNAME resource record and alias record. For example, www.microsoft.com is an CNAME of the record microsoft.com. So this one. MAX, which is also known as mail exchanger, or you can say mail server records. Okay. PTR, pointer resource record, used to look up and map IP address to domain name. The reserved lookup zone stored the addresses. SRV, service locator, identifies a service that is available in the domain. Active Directory uses these records extensively. And NS, name server resource record, identifies all the name servers in the domain. And 4 time A, IP version 6 resource recorded. So, so guys, you should be very careful about this one because very important. At least 2 questions definitely will be asked in interview. Guys, next question, what are root hints? Okay, so guys, root hints do contain the IP addresses for DNS root servers. Okay, root hints, they will contain IP addresses of DNS root servers. So if we talk about it a bit more, root hints are the list of 13 servers I told you earlier on the internet that are internet assigned, that the internet assigned numbers authority IANA maintains, and that the DNS server uses if it cannot resolve the DNS query by using DNS forwarder its own cache. Again, this will be a the root hints are the highest server in the DNS hierarchy and can provide the necessary information for a DNS server to perform an iterative query to the next lowest layer of the DNS namespace. So we'll try to see here basically what is happening. This is a client, okay, and we have one DNS server here. So one more DNS server, and this is root hint record. Is there something some record? And it is going here, now it is going here, or it can go directly to this .com also, or from here it will go to internet and Microsoft. Like this it will work. What is DNS query? So guys, DNS query is a request for the name resolution and is directed to DNS server. You can say it is just a request for the name resolution from a client to DNS server. And queries are recursive and iterative. Two types of queries we have. DNS client and DNS server both initiate queries. DNS server are authoritative or non-authoritative. for a namespace, and I will talk about it in more in detail in next slide. So guys, a DNS query is the method that you use to request and RAM resolution in which a query is sent to DNS server, and there are two type of DNS query. First one I told you, I just missed here a few things. So first one is recursive and iterative. Now we will talk about what does it mean authoritative and non-authoritative. So guys, a DNS server can either be authoritative or non-authoritative for the query's namespace. What will happen in authoritative? So a DNS server is authoritative when it hosts a primary or secondary copy of DNS Zone, the two type of queries. So if it is having primary and secondary copy of DNS Zone, it will be your authoritative server, DNS server. What will happen? An authoritative query is one for which the server can return an answer that it knows is correct, because the request is directed to authoritative server that manages the domain. So the thing is very simple. If the server is authoritative, then it will give you a proper answer to that query, because it is assigned, or it is configured to manage the domain, or it is managing that entire domain. So it should provide the proper answer to that query. And next, what will happen? A DNS server that contains in its cache the domain being requested answer a non-authoritative query by using the forwarder or root hint. However, the answer provided, if it is a non-authoritative, then what will happen? uh, the information which it will answer to the query may not be accurate or may not be proper. So this is the difference between authoritative and non-authoritative. If it is authoritative, then it has to answer properly. If the DNS server is authoritative for the query namespace, the DNS server will check the zone and then do one of the following. Okay, when it is authoritative, so what it will do to answer that query: return the requested address and return an authoritative no that name does not exist. Okay, this is the first function when it is authoritative. And if the local DNS server is non-authoritative, what will happen? It will it uh, check its cache and return cache response, forward the unresolved query to a specific server called forwarder, use well-known address of multiple root server to find the authoritative DNS server to resolve the query. This is called root hints. This process is called root hints basically. Okay, so it will forward to next server to find out that authoritative server to resolve that query. I hope there is no confusion now. What is the difference between authoritative or non-authoritative? Guys, what is recursive query here? Okay, I was talking about two type of queries in previous slide. Here, so we will try to understand here. The recursive query is sent to DNS server and requires a complete answer. Okay, for example, this is a client and it is a recursive query. Then that server has to provide a complete answer. For example, I'm typing this mail one.contoso.msft. Okay, then it should provide a complete IP address of that server, like 172.16.64.11 from this local DNS server. Recursive query can have two possible results. It returns the IP address of the host requested, and the DNS server cannot resolve an IP address. For security reason, it sometimes is necessary to disable recursive queries on the DNS servers. I hope this is clear, guys. Now next, what is iterative query? So what will happen here? Iterative query provide a mechanism for accessing domain information that resides across the DNS system and enable servers to quickly and effectively resolve the DNS name across many servers. Okay, for example, this is your client server, and this is your local DNS server, and this is root, and this is your top level domain, and this is your one more domain here .com. So what will happen here? You should check what is happening. For example, from here, this is a query, this is coming from this server. Okay, and this is going to this side also. Now what is happening? and this also. Example, we will try to understand here. Okay, a client sends a query to DNS server. So client has sent a request to DNS server mail one dot neww traders.com. This is a request, but the DNS server does not know this name. DNS server is not knowing the name. The DNS server then asks one of its root server, this one, root server. From here it is coming. You can consider this is a recursive query. From here it is going to this server, and now it is going to here. And the root server knows the server on which .com is hosted, so it will find out where .com is there. So this is the .com server. The .com server in turn will know the server on which, so it will come to know where it is. This .com server will be containing those informations, .com, .net, blah 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 blah. So it will be this information is coming from here to here, and now it is going to this will tell this server it should go to here. So finally the DNS server that host now traders under the .com zone will know the IP address of this associated with the name mail1. Now this server will answer to this client from like this is known as authoritative response. So how this recursive query work, recursive, not recursive, it is iterative. And what is forwarder, guys? Now, so guys, forwarder is an DNS server designated to resolve external or offsite domain names, basically. So I hope it is clear by this much information only, or this much explanation only, and you can read this much. Too much information is there. So we will try to understand here by this diagram once again. The server that is forwarding request in network must be able to communicate with the DNS server located on the internet. So there should be proper connection. Then only that resolution will happen properly. So again, we will try to understand here, guys. This is your local DNS server, okay, and this is forwarder you have configured. We will talk. We will see a little bit here also. A forwarder is a network. Forwarder is a network DNS server that forward the query for external DNS name to DNS server outside that network. You also can use conditional forwarder to forward queries according to the specific domain names. A network DNS server is designated a forwarder when other DNS server in the network forward to it the query that they cannot resolve locally. I think I have taken example. No, I have not taken example. So guys, again, this is a forwarder and this is your local DNS from, again, you are sending this one recursive query. Okay, from this client, you can say this client from it came like this to this your local DNS. It is forwarding this recursive query to forwarder, and this query again going to your root server, and again it is going to your .com top level, and from top level it is going back to your forwarder. It will send this request to nowtraders.com, this particular server where it has to go. So this is how forwarder works. It will forward that query to that concerned server, and from here the request is coming. This is the IP address of this. Guys, next, what is conditional forwarding? So conditional forwarding forward request using domain name conditions. So there should be a condition for that domain name, and it will go to that domain also. Okay, that particular domain. For example, you can configure a DNS server to forward all queries that it receive for name ending with corp.contoso.com to the IP address of the specific DNS or to the IP address of multiple DNS servers. So for example, if you see here, this is your contoso.ms Microsoft DNS, and this is client computer, and this is ISP DNS. So what is happening here? This is a query for contoso.microsoft.com, for example, client computer. It is going to your local DNS, all other DNS domains. So this is your ISP, and it is going to contoso.microsoft.com, or you can say this MSFT. So here we can configure your conditional forwarding. So as per the condition, it will go to that particular domain server. Best practice, use conditional forward if you have multiple external namespaces. This provides faster name resolution. So this is a consideration you can say. Guys, how DNS server caching works. So very important. Guys, DNS caching increases the performance of the organization DNS system by decreasing the time it takes to provide DNS lookup. How we will see here, when a DNS server resolves the DNS name successfully, it adds the name to its cache. It will keep in its memory. Over time, this builds the cache of the domain name and the associate IP address for the most common domain that the organization uses or access. For example, guys, what will happen here? This is a client one, this is client two, and this is client one. Okay, and this is server is at the 192.168.8.44. So they are accessing this server again and again. And this is my uh, for this and for this same, there is no difference, it is going to same server, server A. So what will happen here? DNS server cache in this, for example, this is my DNS server, or you can say anyone DNS server here. This is destination, or you can consider here anywhere any DNS server. So what will happen? Host name server A dot contoso dot microsoft.com, for example, host name, and IP address. This is server A, and this is TTL 28 seconds. So it will keep it in that memory. So this will help how, if the same information is coming, so it will send to that particular only, that particular server only. It will not search here and here. So here and there, it will not go. It will go to that particular server only, and that request will go to that particular client only. It will not go to other clients. So this is how it works, and it decreases the bandwidth utilization, and it increases the performance. And the default time to cache DNS data is 1 hour. What is DNS zone, guys? Very important. So a DNS zone hosts all portion of a domain and its subdomains. Here we will try to understand. Okay, the Microsoft.com domain is separated into two zones. So guys, again I will try to explain you here. So we have this Microsoft.com. Okay, now it is separated in two zone. The first zone is www.microsoft.com, and second one is ftp.microsoft.com. So we will see here how this is my FTP zone, and this is also FTP zone, and we have one more. Oh, this one, Microsoft.com. So we will see here what is happening. So for example, Microsoft.com is delegated to a new zone which hosts the example Microsoft.com and its subdomain FTP example.microsoft.com and www.examplemicrosoft.com. This one and this one. We will move to next one, guys. What are the DNS zone types? So basically we have three: primary zone, secondary zone, and stub zone, and one more is Active Directory integrated. So if we talk about primary zone, very important. So it will contain read and write copy of DNS database. Okay, if secondary, read only. And if we talk about DNS stub zone, so copy of a zone that contain only records used to locate name servers. So basically, guys, we should not think about this much. So what happens? What is the role of stub zone? Basically, it reduces the traffic to resolve the queries if you have multi-domain environment. Okay, if you have multi-domain environment, then it will send that query to that particular server only, so it reduces the traffic. Simple concept of this stub zone. And if we talk about Active Directory integrated, data zone data is stored in Active Directory rather than in zone files. Guys, next topic is what are forward and reverse lookup zone. So guys, if we see here forwarder lookup zone, reverse lookup zone, two types we have. So we will see one by one. The forward lookup zone resolves host name to IP address, host name to IP address, and host the common resource record A, C names, SRV, MAX, SOA, and NS. If we talk about reverse lookup zone, it resolves an IP address to domain name and host SOA, NS, and PTR records. How? We'll see here. We'll see. No, I have not taken any example here. So we will see a little bit. This is forward zone, okay, and this is reverse zone. So what will happen here? This is training name and this is IP address. So for example, you have client 1, client 2, client 3, client 1, client 1, client 3. It will contain IP address this side, and this is the name. I hope it is clearing you. And if we talk about reverse, it will contain IP address to, it will resolve IP address to name. So this is the difference between forward and lookup zone. Next guys, what are stub zones? So without stub zone, without step zone, the n, I'm not able to see this information properly. Okay, we will try to understand here. A step zone is a copy of a zone that contains only those resources record necessary to identify that the zone's authoritative server, DNS server. So guys, I'm moving, I'm just not able to understand this one. What is DNS zone transfer guys here? So a DNS zone transfer is the synchronization of authoritative DNS zone data between DNS services basically. And if you want to know in more, a zone transfer occurs when the transfer the DNS zone that is on one server to another DNS server. For example, this is my primary server, okay, and this is my secondary server. Now I'm just transferring zone transferred. How it will happen? It will how it will happen? This is zone transfer synchronize primary and secondary zone server. This is how DNS built its resilience on the internet. It is important that the DNS zone remain updated on primary and secondary server. Okay, it should be updated. So first of all, SOA query for zone and query answered. And again, this is some information will be exchanged between both the servers. So this is how zone transfer happen basically. A full zone transfer occurs when you copy the entire zone from DNS server to another server. A full zone transfer is known as all zone transfer. Okay, all zone transfer. This one, AXFR, and we have incremental also. You can read from here, guys, a little bit more for more information. How DNS notifies works. A DNS notify is an update to the original DNS protocol specification that permits notification to secondary server when zone exchange occurs. So if we talk about it a bit more here, this is your destination server, okay, secondary server, and this is your primary source server. So what will happen here? Resource record is updated. This is a state, and SOA serial number is updated. So the two things happen here. Now what will happen? Third, it will tell to this server and it will initiate that this zone transfer. So DNS notify is an update to the original DNS protocol specification that permit notification to secondary server when zone exchange occur. This is useful in time sensitive environment where data accuracy is important. So that is very important here. This one, what is time to live, a gig, and scavenging. 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 Very difficult to pronounce for me. It is. You can read, guys, but very important. So if we talk about features and description here, TTL, very important, time to live, indicates how long a DNS record will remain valid. Okay, and egging occurs when records that have been inserted into the DNS server each reach their expiration and are removed. And scavenging, very difficult for me to pronounce, guys. It's literally, I'm telling you. Performs DNS server resources record grooming for old records in Active Direct. I mean DNS. The following table we will try to understand here in a little bit deep. So, guys, TTL indicates how long DNS server records will be valid. The TTL can vary depending on the kind of DNS resource record. For example, an MX record has much a longer TTL than host record for a laptop. Egging, egging occurs when record inserted into DNS server reach their expiration and are removed. This keeps the zone database accurate. During normal operations, egging should take care of still DNS resource records. And if we talk about scavenging, performs DNS server resource record grooming for old records in DNS. If resource record have not been aged, an administrator can scavenge the zone database for still resource for force database cleanup. So basically, it is used for unused data, unused information, and unused data to clean it. Yes, tools that identify problem with DNS. So there are certain tools we can use for the troubleshooting. First one is NS Lookup, second one is DNS CMD, third one is DNS Lint. So troubleshooting, it is useful for troubleshooting, troubleshoot DNS problems, edit the DNS configuration, DNS CMD, and diagnose common DNS issues, DNS INT command, DNSL, you can say DNS Lint command. So what will happen in NS Lookup? Use this to query DNS information. The tool is very flexible and can provide a lot of valuable information about DNS server status. You also can use it to look up resources record and validate their configuration. You can also test zone transfer security options and MX record resolution. For example, if I talk about this computer only, CMD, if I type uh, ns lookup and put, so it is giving my information of my DNS server. This is the DNS server what I have configured for my LAN card, and I'm able to access internet. If I go to this one and show you, this is my DNS. Okay, so this is how we can use this tool to obtain information about the DNS. And DNS CMD, uh, manage DNS services with this command line interface. This utility is useful in scripting batch files to help automated routine DNS management tasks or to perform simple unattended setup and configuration of new DNS server on your network. Okay, next one is, guys, simply we have one more command like ipconfig. Use this command to view and modify the configuration whatever we have in our network, I mean system, what we have configured. For example, just let me come let me open it once again. So just ip config, enter and hit enter. So it will give you information about what is the IP address of the system, DNS and subnet marks and all. So we can capture multiple informations. And we have one more here, DNS IP config slash display DNS, you can use, and flush DNS. So it is very helpful to troubleshoot DNS related problems. And DNS lint command, use this to diagnose common DNS issues. This command line utility diagnoses configuration issues in DNS quickly and also can generate report in HTML format regarding the status of the domain you are testing. So these are the commands, guys, and this is the ending of this video, guys. I just tried to broad whatever I could share with you guys. I hope this is gonna very helpful for you guys. If it is helpful, please subscribe my channel, and this is double slash, okay. Subscribe my channel, like this video, comment on this video, share this video so that it may reach to the other people also, and keep watching my channel. I'm just sharing whatever I can share and whatever domain I'm working in. So guys, till then, bye bye, and wait for my next videos. And next videos I will be talking about DB, what is database and all. So till then, bye bye.